Hello, this is Ron Paul with your weekly update for Monday, February 10th. President Obama's State of the Union's pledge to act with or without Congress marks a milestone in presidential usurpation of congressional authority. Most modern presidents have used executive orders to change and even create laws without congressional approval. However, President Obama is unusually brazen in that most presidents do not brag about their plans to rule by executive order in State of the Union speeches. Sadly, his pledge to use his pen to implement laws and policies without the consent of Congress not only received thunderous applause from representatives of the president's party, some representatives have even pledged to help Obama get around Congress by providing him with ideas on executive orders. The Constitution's authors would be horrified to see legislators actively aiding and abetting a president taking powers away from the legislature. Executive orders are perfectly legitimate and even necessary if, in the words of leading constitutional scholar Judge Andrew Napolitano, they, quote, guide the executive branch on how to enforce a law or complement and supplement what Congress has already done, close quote. The problem is that most modern presidents have abused his power to issue orders that, as Judge Napolitano puts it, restates federal law or contradicts federal law or does the opposite of what the federal law is supposed to do. Political opponents of the president rightly condemned Obama for disregarding the Constitution. However, it was not that long ago that many of the same politicians were labeling as unpatriotic or worse anyone who dared question President Bush's assertion that he had the inherent authority to launch wars, spy on Americans, and even indefinably detain American citizens. Partisan considerations also make some members of the opposition party hesitant to rein in the president. These members are reluctant to set a precedent of tying the president's hands that could be used against a future president of their own party. The concentration of power in the office of the president is yet one more negative consequence of our interventionist foreign policy. A foreign policy based on interventionism requires a strong and energetic executive, unfettered by constructional niceties such as waiting for Congress to pass laws or declare war. So it simply was natural, as Americans abandoned the traditional foreign policy of non-interventionism, for presidents to act without waiting for Congress. After all, the president is commander-in-chief, as he needs to protect national security, they argue. Once it became accepted practice for the president to disregard Congress in foreign affairs, it was only a matter of time before presidents would begin usurping congressional authority in domestic matters. It should not be surprising that some of the biggest promoters of an energetic executive are the neoconservatives. They are all enthusiastic promoters of the welfare state. Sadly, they have misled many constitutionalists into believing that one can consistently support unchecked presidential authority in foreign policy, but limit presidential authority in domestic matters. Until it is fully understood that virtually limitless presidential authority in foreign affairs cannot exist with strict limitations on the president's authority in domestic matters, we will never limit the power of the presidency. The people must also insist that politicians stop viewing issues concerning the separations of powers through a partisan lens and instead be willing to act against any president who exceeds his constitutional limitations. Thankfully, we have scholars such as Lewis Fisher, who has just published an important new book on presidential powers to help us better understand the founders' intent with regards to the separation of powers. The key to achieving this goal is to make sure that the people understand that any president of any party who would exceed constitutional limitations is a threat to liberty, and any member of Congress who ignores or facilitates presidential usurpation is being derelict in his constitutional duties. Thanks for calling this update. A new update is placed on this number, 888-322-1414, every Sunday. The written text can be found on my free foundation website at www.the-free-foundation.org and on my Facebook page. Thanks for calling.